Is the new Mustang Mach-E GT faster than a Mustang GT500? Well, we're going to find out in this first look. So the Mustang Mach-E is Ford's first electric Mustang. I don't really like the term Mustang, but that's the branding that they're going with. And so today Ford released or did a reveal of the Performance Edition of the Mach-E, which is the GT. Now that is very much akin to the Mustang GT with the classic V8, the 5-liter V8 that is currently in the engine, the Coyote, that's currently in the vehicle, the Coyote engine that we all know and love. So this is the GT. This is a render right here. I'm going to show you some actual footage in a second. So just to recap, the regular Mach-E in the Premium Edition, the all-wheel drive, which is currently the most powerful version that you can get, it has 346 horsepower and 428 pound-feet of torque. It is all-wheel drive. It has two electric motors in it, one in the front, one in the back. Currently, it does about 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, which puts it pretty much on par with something like a Porsche Macan S. So we get a different grille up front, and we get this illuminated pony badge, which is kind of cool, and the grille is a little bit different too. And significantly, there are two different versions of the GT. We've got the GT, and then we have the GT Performance Edition, and that is a more track-focused version of the Mach-E, and it has a different mode, which I'll talk about in a second, which is going to allow you to basically do more continuous laps on track than you can normally. So there's a couple other significant differences here too. So 0 to 60 in this. Again, and there's two versions. In the GT, they are saying it's going to be 3.8 seconds. That's pretty quick. And in the GT Performance Edition, they're talking about 3.5 seconds, which is really incredibly quick for any kind of car. So one of the ways they give you more performance compared to the regular Mach-E is that the front motor is a little bit more powerful. It has a little bit more capability to it. And this has significantly more torque than the regular Mach-E. So the regular Mach-E has 428 pound-feet of torque. The GT has 600 pound-feet of torque. And if you opt for the GT Performance Edition, you're going to get another 34 pound-feet on top of that for 634 pound-feet of torque combined. Now you get different wheels than you get on the regular Mach-E. The GT has 20-inch machine face aluminum wheels, and you get 245 45 SR20 Continental all-season tires. Now you get these red performance brake calipers, and you get 19-inch rotors front and rear compared to the regular Mach-E, which has 18-inch discs up front and 17 in back. Here with the GT, you get 19 front and rear. So these are 4-piston Brembos that you're getting up front. These brakes are really good. I found on the all-wheel drive. The premium version, they stop the car particularly well. So there's basically two choices of wheels. On the GT, you get these wheels here with these they're not really 5 spokes, but these sort of 5 openings. But then if you get the Performance Edition, you get a different set of wheels. You get these unique wheels with the sort of multi-spoke design. I think they're quite handsome looking actually, and these are specific to the Performance Edition. And so these have ebony black painted pockets, and you get different tires too. These come with 245 45 R20 Pirelli summer tires, and these are a unique compound. These are unique to the Mustang GT Performance Edition, and because of these tires, Ford says that they are able to allocate there's a little bit more torque that they can allocate towards putting power down to the ground. So you're able to get this increased amount of torque, 634 pound-feet. And on the Performance Edition, you also get the Magna Ride damping, which is something that is available in the Mustang GT500. It was previously available in the GT350 and I think in the R, and I think it's also available in the Mustang Mach-1. So the Magna Ride suspension they are adaptive dampers. They have a little bit of ferrous metal in them, and then when you apply an electric charge through that, you essentially change the viscosity of the liquid in there, and you can adjust the damping very quickly. I think it's at least 1,000 times a second. I don't remember the exact number. So it's a very good suspension system, and in fact, if you haven't driven a car that has adaptive dampers, you definitely should. It is kind of life-changing, at least in my opinion. I'm a really big fan of that. So the adaptive dampers, Magna Ride, this is specific to the Performance Edition. You got the 3 different modes that you have in the current Mach-E, and my favorite, of course, is unbridled mode, which is the more performance-oriented mode. But now, with the GT and the GT Performance, you get something called Unbridled Extended, and this is for track and closed courses, essentially race tracks, and it balances power output for lap time consistency, is what they're saying. So you can essentially, you know, dump all of your juice just in unbridled mode into the powertrain and probably put down a couple hot laps. But Unbridled Extended allows you to do multiple hot laps or multiple laps for an extended period of time. I'm actually very curious about this. I like going to the track, as you may or may not know. I take my Supra out all the time, so being able to take an electric car out on track, to me, is like pretty interesting and pretty cool, and I think Ford is hoping that some owners are going to do this. Let's talk about some of the performance numbers that you're getting here. So Ford is saying with the Performance Edition 3.5 seconds 0 to 60. And let's take a look at the Mustang GT500. Now Ford officially says that the GT500 does 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. Apparently that is difficult to reach. Here is an article from Car and Driver magazine a little while ago, and they say that it scorches 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. So it's a pretty quick car, but if we take Ford's number of 3.5 for the Mach-E GT Performance Edition, it is awfully close to that. And 3.3, if you can hit that, and I'm sure some people probably have, maybe some people have even done it a little bit faster, but you're dealing with traction issues when you've got a rear-wheel drive high power car. It's going to be pretty difficult to be consistent. So we're talking about 3.5 seconds here in the Performance Edition of the Mach-E, and to me that somehow sounds more realistic. When you have all-wheel drive, you're going to have just more consistent numbers. Now of course there is a big difference when you're putting down the power with an electric vehicle and it's not fully charged. When I had the Mach-E a couple weeks ago, I did some quick performance testing. I didn't actually put it in the video, but when the vehicle was fairly discharged, when I had around 20% charge, instead of getting the 0 to 60 of around 4.8, which would be with only one person in the vehicle and no stuff in there, I had my cameraman and a bunch of stuff, I was able to do 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds, which is a big jump up from 4.8. I didn't have the time to test out the 4.8 with just with the cameraman and stuff in there, so I don't really know what the difference would have been, but let's say it would have been, let's say 5.8 or 6, something like that, with all the additional stuff in there. So I was definitely seeing a little bit of a slowdown when the battery was somewhat discharged. So that is a difference between regular gas-powered vehicles and electric vehicles. That's sort of just the state of the union right now. So here's what I want to talk about with the Mustang GT500, which is an amazing car. I had a chance to drive it, thank you Ford, at Sonoma Raceway a little while ago. That has, of course, 760 horsepower and 625 pound-feet of torque, and it's actually quite effective at putting the power down to the ground. So this GT Performance Edition has 634 pound-feet of torque, so it actually is just a little bit more. Now, of course, there is a pretty big difference with the power-to-weight ratio with these vehicles. The Mustang GT500 weighs in at around 4,000 pounds, give or take. And although Ford doesn't actually publish the weight figures for the Mach-E, Motor Trend put it on a scale and they found it to be about 4,800 pounds. So you do have a pretty significant difference in weight. This is certainly no lightweight vehicle, and you can feel it when you're driving it. It is, after all, a crossover SUV, but the batteries are quite low. They're on underneath the floor, so they're pretty low on the chassis, so that really moves the center of gravity quite low in the vehicle, and it does give a lot of benefits to handling. It's not my ultimate preference in terms of the way I feel like a sports car should be. This isn't quite a car, this is actually a crossover after all, but it does handle incredibly well for an SUV, and this is something I would actually be pretty excited to take on track. The one thing you're able to do with the GT, which you can't do with the regular Mach-E, is that you are able to apparently turn off all of the safety features. So you can turn off traction control and you can turn off stability, and that's pretty interesting from a performance perspective, especially driving on track. But also it does have, in unbridled mode, apparently it will allow you to have a little bit more yaw, a little bit more lateral slip than you would be able to in the regular Mach-E, where really all you can do is turn off the traction control, but you really can't completely disable the stability. So this does have additional stability modes and I guess additional traction modes, which will allow you to get a lot more slip angle and slide this thing around. It's more rear-wheel drive biased too, so you can apparently put up to 60% of the power to the rear wheels in the GT versus about 50-50 in the regular Mach-E. So let me know down below in the comments, is this something you would consider? Would you consider this over a GT500? For example, I know they're pretty different cars, and ultimately the performance of the GT500 is going to be higher, obviously, but this is still pretty interesting for an electric vehicle. So just a couple quick more differences between the GT and the Performance Edition. So you can see the specs over here. For the regular GT, we're talking 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, 480 horsepower, all-wheel drive. Here's the 245 Continental all-season tires. So a couple other things you get with the GT versus the regular Mach-E is you get this lip in the front, you get red painted Brembo brake calipers, and so in the regular GT you get what Ford calls the Sport Contour front seats, you get the aluminum pony badge, and you get 250 miles of EPA estimated range. Now with the GT Performance Edition, you get the Magna Ride suspension, you get these unique wheels with the summer tires, you still get the red Brembo painted brakes. You get this unique front and rear fascia with a front splitter, air curtains, and diffuser. But you get Ford performance seats and, of course, the Magna Ride suspension. I think I just said that too. You do lose a little bit of range. You get 235 miles of EPA rated range. So let's take a quick look and compare this to the Tesla Model Y. So you can order the Performance Edition. And the range, of course, with Tesla is always higher. They are stating 303 miles EPA range with the Performance Edition. This starts at $61,000, and they're stating 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. That actually is the same as the Mach-E, top speed 155. I don't know what the difference is with the Mach-E versus the top speed, but I mean, who cares? We're not really going to be going top speed in these things too much anyhow. So there is, basically, it's very competitive. There is the difference between these. We'll talk about price with the Mach-E in just a second. Now, the one thing with the Mach-E is that you do get the $7,500 rebate from the federal government, and if you're in a different state than me, California gets $1,500. Other states are going to have different rebates too. So we'll talk about the final price in just a second. I threw $1,000 worth of paint on here, but if you get rid of the paint, you're looking at $61,000 for the Performance Edition. I did 2 Mach-E videos. You should definitely go check them out. I did one on the range, a full range test. I drove it from down the coast, figured out what the entire range was on one charge, and then I also did like a complete cinematic review. I'm actually really happy with the way it turned out, so please go check it out. It's a really great video. I'd like to make more videos like that. So let's go check out the price of this. And should I get one? I'm kind of tempted to get one and take it to the track and do some performance tests. Let me know if I should get one, but let's see what it costs to configure on the website here. So this is the GT, this is Shadow Black. It looks like all the colors. By the way, I really like Grabber Blue Metallic, which is a color that was only available on the, I think the California edition. Anyways, now available on the GT, and this Cyber Orange Metallic is only available on the GT. That's clearly the color to get. Look at my channel, look at the background. I'm kind of into the orange thing. Let's go ahead and configure it a little bit farther. So interior, looks like there's just the one package for the interior. Like I say, I'd like to see a little bit more there. And doesn't look like I can order the Performance Edition right now. I can't even order right now on the website. Check back soon. Well, perhaps Ford has stopped me from ordering one of these. Maybe I saved a few dollars, but I'm still sort of kind of considering it. The GT is about $60,000. It's $59,900. We got some destination in there, and the GT Performance Edition is $64,900. So let's just call it $65,000. You can factor in your credits. If I'm in California, which I am in California actually, I'm going to get $7,500 back from the federal government as a tax credit, $1,500 from California, so that is $9,000 off. So that if I ordered the Performance Edition, that would put me at about $56,000. And I want to talk to you guys about the future of the channel for just a second and what my plans are. So you've probably noticed I have been doing a lot more vehicle reviews. I definitely plan on doing that. My roster isn't quite as filled up for May, so I'm going to be doing a little bit more news, but I definitely plan to continue doing vehicle reviews. I really enjoy them. I really enjoy doing the cinematic stuff. Let me know also, I'm a big performance gearhead. I like going to the track with my Supra. I haven't done a lot of track videos and posted them on the channel, but let me know if you would consider watching some track videos, maybe some competitions, maybe something where I'm trying to beat somebody or put down a better lap time, showing my performance modifications. I'm a total gearhead. Let me know if that's something interesting to you, or should I just stick to news and reviews? My name is Eric. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video.